Hello and welcome back. Sorry, we had to fix a few issues to create the challenge, but now player just begin their game, and we are in round 3, and we will be commentating and mainly following. I don't even remember the game. I think yeah. So Fabian against Antonio, and that game is a bit like pie chess against EGF, the federation, because Fabian is in charge of part of the dev team of pie chess, and Antonio is the president of the Korean Janggi Federation. And at the same time, we have Dimitri that plays Adam, and also Timea that plays Haute Combat, and Simon is playing against the computer. So I will simply swap the game and have the vision from the other side, so that you can also have some play and idea how it looks like from red point of view. So red went for a side elephant left here, and blue for inner elephants. And they develop what they want. I just need to have a look if the other rounds are going well. I see everyone here. Perfect. So here we have Dimitri and Adam, but Adam seems not to be here. Have a look. And we also have Haute Combat, this is his pseudo, who is playing Timea, and they went for side elephant for red and inner elephant, and blue decided to go for elephant to the side, which is not so expected, because in that case you open your own file and that's good for the rook, but when you bring the elephant afterward here, there is the risk that the elephant have to stay, and you cannot sacrifice it because the rook is pinned, and you lose the activity this rook had. So yeah, elephant to the corner like this when you have an active file is mostly to avoid. But we'll see that game. So Antonio versus Fabian, that is very one player seems to have problems. Okay, sorry, I have to have a look here, because sorry, I will have to restart one challenge because he's saying that he cannot move, and there's no here should be a green circle, but it's not green, so there may have been a problem. This is the problem of online tournaments, that you are very bound to bugs and internet connection. So I asked them to restart that game. So blue developed his rook. Sorry, that's long, and I try to now get into the game, and both players will figure their problem together. So we'll have a look of what have been played. In that situation, red could have gone for opening the other file, like this. Cannon to the center, bringing the elephant. That may be a bit too early because the adversary can use that and push the pawn and kind of choke that elephant. Now giving more space, the cannons are in the game. So here we can see that blue have two cannons that are in a good position, and this cannon is right now not achieving so much. So there is a few ways to recycle that. Could be to bring the cannon here and after that here. But that's not an emergency right now. So we have to deal with a lot of windows at the same time. It's a bit of a mess. Sorry. Alright, so blue developed his PCs and pawn structure, and now he's securing the king before trying to push, and I would say pushing this way may get more results. Two players are having issue and haven't started the game yet. Okay. Here pushing the pawn gives the mobility to force to move the rook, but when the pawn was in the situation just before, it was really protected, and right now it's not anymore. We could think that red is gaining the file, but there is not so much here to do. But here they may be an elephant threat if, for example, we push the pawn but the elephant is not defended, and when you are with hand with red, there's not so much gain sometime to push pawn just for pushing, because you basically you have more point than your opponent because of the start configuration, and you don't need to push. The risk of pushing is that you create holes in your structure, and after the knights and the elephant can come and breaks everything. So here simply going back to the center. Now the elephant goes to the corner. Not so convinced about this move because I don't see what to get from that. The idea for red would be at some point to bring this pawn back to the center, but before that you need to chase the rook. We have an issue here because one of the games still hasn't started, and it's a bit a problem. But waiting, we'll have a look at the game between Timea and Octombat. So what I've been done is, particularly we talked about that elephant in the corner. So here, instead of bringing the pawn, we can see that there is a pinning. So if elephant takes, this is a free pawn because the pawn cannot take back, but the combination has been missed. Bringing the second elephant, cannons, and now the pawn here is hanging by pushing that pawn there. But red is not reacting, so red is now bringing one rook into the play. That's good because this rook is harder to activate, so now it gives space to this one, and the other is now in the play, and the knight is retreating very at the very back. And in those situations it can be dangerous if a cannon like this goes there. Of course you have to to mind this before, but to have a rook and a knight and a piece like on the same file, you have to think if a cannon could go there or not. And red is now opening the position, so that's an isolated and pinned at the same time pawn, so that's good for red. And those elephants, they may have plenty of play at some point. Okay, so they start. Finally, they will have a bit less time than the other, but it's good that the problem has been solved. That's better. So we have also Simon that is playing against the bot, and he's winning a very good position, maybe a checkmate quite soon. So he secured the victory against the computer, even if the timing is a bit low, so we will have to speed up and not blunder. But since red has not so much material, there's no big risks, and a very good move. No, it doesn't work. Maybe an idea could be to bring the rook and pin here the elephant. So back to this game. Red, sorry, up. Okay, red bring the elephant. The idea is that the knight can now go to the center, because otherwise it would have been pinned or taken by the elephant. And probably will sacrifice against the pawn to create an isolated pawn, and also weaken this elephant. Still it's protected by the knight, but I would sacrifice there. And as we said before, red is trying to do the maneuver to recycle the cannon, and also giving extra protection here for now. In terms of activity, this rook is mainly defending, and maybe in some trouble when move like this comes. And this rook is doing a okay job. Maybe at some point it will be useful there. Not yet, because you don't want to give the file to your enemy, but since the pawn are a bit more pushed, there some more space. And this elephant there is still having the hanging threat if pawn push, but still it's not defended, so that cannot happen right now. We can see that Fabian took a lot of time to secure that position, and I hope he will be able to give the same quality of play in the Bayoyomi period that will be arriving quite soon, actually. So, elephant back home. Cannon here. That's yeah, that's creative, because there is a lot of pieces there, and the cannon will be able to quickly bump back and threaten a lot of materials. That's a nice move. That's answered by pawn push, and probably the cannon goes back. Okay, it goes back to the last rank. That's good also. Probably even better. It's good once the king and the two guards are away, because the cannon can be used to jump left and right. But now the only solution is to move the rook. Yeah, the pawn is hanging, and even other So red is taking a little advantage here, good advantage. So let's have a look to the game that began not so long ago. This is Dimitri and Adam that are playing together. And Dimitri simply sacrificed an elephant for a pawn to get some activity. Here we could think that elephant takes, pawn takes, but the rook is defended there, so that doesn't gain a pawn to do so. However, that's not possible yet, but if you are able to bring the knight in those positions, that can lead to very tricky combinations, like this kind of forks and all. And here the rook is now giving support to the knight to go here. That's, yeah, that creates a weakness in terms of pawns, and the risk is like rook check and rook here. Very good to put the rook here to neutralize elephants, and the elephant is useful to defend the knight that is attacked by the cannon, so that will be a lot to defend for blue, and I'm not sure, oh la la, I'm not sure that will be possible. There is that knight is free, of course there is this threat, but since there is nothing on the left side, there's no big deal, and this knight was in a nice spot, so losing that knight will be very hard to get. And he missed the move, but still is giving another threat on this. So the cannon was threatening the rook and the pawn. The rook decided to move here and could push the pawn, or he will do at some point to link and to make the rook flee, but before taking the pawn. And now the elephant is threatening a lot. But pawn takes, rook takes, and here this is a great square for the knight. But the problem is that you want your cannon to come back, because it does a better job if it is in the fortress. So I don't know what Antonio will decide to do. There is different solutions and different type of plays in that situation, but here the elephant protects the pawn, so if red decides to simply don't care and leave that pawn will be annoying because it's supported by the elephant and cannot be taken back directly by the knight. Maybe the best play is a cannon here, because that gives a threat on the knight. Cannon here or cannon here. Those are for me the two solutions that works. The other one is pawn takes, followed by rook takes quickly, I guess. It's likely that the knight goes here to get some space. Of course that will block the cannon, but there is no pawn that can very quickly push and remove the cannon. Same for the knight. The knight cannot threaten the cannon in one move, and neither the other knight or the elephant. So even if the cannon is kind of blocked here for now, it is very well supported and cannot be removed quickly by weaker pieces, so there's no big deal there. The counterpart is that blue may go here in order to pin the rook, but he decides to go to check, and we can see, for example, guard here. The elephant can go there. That will be a double threat here, like the rook and the elephant. But red already have an elephant that is doing the job, and there's no risk that this elephant be removed too fast. So I don't know, red can also simply go for a kind of hiding like this. There's not enough material here, I would say, so that the checking the king bring a benefit. The rook in that position would have been, according to me, a better choice. Okay, he's coming back with the elephant. That's good because it gives some support to the rook. But in case of rook check, don't forget that the cannon can move diagonally in the fortress, and that would be a very suitable defense. The risk may be that elephant goes here. Not right now. Okay, he secures before with the cannon. It seems that the game with Timea and Hot Combat finished. I will try to see what's the score. And here we have Dimitri and Adam playing. The score is now in the lead for Dimitri. I think he was able to gain the knight. Now the knight moved. Cannon to the side in order to gain the elephant. Yeah, okay. And now we reached the move, and that's Dimitri's turn, so there is an hanging elephant here. If you hesitate to take with the cannon on the rook, you can see that if you take with the cannon, you need another move to come back, while with the rook you are already doing a good job here, so there's no really hesitation to take with the cannon instead of the with the rook instead of the cannon. As you can see, Adam at some point went to take. He was hoping that it would take and take, but there's no need to take back, and here the elephant is trapped. Maybe he will take later, maybe he will remove the knight here, like there is a knight hanging. Yeah, that's a blunder. Okay, I will try to see the results of the game. So my brother Simon did one by checkmate against the bot. And what happened here? So elephant there in order to bring more pressure, but the guard is doing a defense that works. And even in the worst case, Canon here suggests that the knight defend the elephant like this, but there is not enough pressure yet. So cannon back to the very end. The idea is to go back. But the counterpart is that if the knight moves, then the cannon can't come back. So elephant takes. I would, when you have some pressure like this, maybe the best is to wait the very last moment to release the pressure, because that would have been done. Of course, red has to be careful of the cannon. Here there is still a lot of material, but that would lead to a checkmate in 2 moves if the cannon was protecting here. Those are things to remember. And now bringing back the cannon here works fine, because you can jump on the other side. Still the to monitor is this, because that creates the same threats and there's nothing else to defend. So cannon here, the idea is that now the cannon is in the way of the elephant. And if the rook tries to block the cannon, it can be defended with something else. So here red has to secure the king, and after that it should be okay, because there is more material and not so big advantage for blue. Knight here, I was looking at that move at the moment he played it. It's good because it kind of already gives protection there, and it mostly the idea is that there is the double threat on the knight and the cannon. So the idea with the cannon is to threaten another piece, but doing so leaves the central file, and at some point you will probably need another tempo to come back, and that's how both players are struggling with the time control. It will be one Bayoyomi left for Antonio, I mean one after this one. Check. I think the game with Adam and Dimitri finished. We could think that cannon takes is even, because it's a knight for a knight, but once the cannon is here it's a bit trapped and weak, so that would be a better exchange for blue. So red will have to retreat the knight, probably to this square, and that's only 15 seconds left for red. The time control lose. And that's a timeout. In Kakao Janggi there is a sound alarm about the clock when you don't have so much time remaining, and I'm not sure that there's one on Pi Chess, so you can get trapped. But that's the game. That's sad, because the game was still on the play and there was a lot of potentiality, and it was still unclear what was going and how.